Well, we're in the kitchen at Tango Towers with a blank pad of paper, which I normally do my Morse code with. And we're doing something totally different today. We're starting something totally different. This will be part one, because it's going to be obviously in two parts when you find out what we're doing. I have a number of label printers. In fact, I'll just get my assistant and to go and get me one of the label printers. You know what they are, don't you? Today the assistant is Andy Sixpack. We haven't got Mr. Chippy, we've got Andy Sixpack. And that I don't think refers to his booze. I think it's something to do with his washboard stomach instead of his fat one. Right, we have a number of these for labelling various things. The one which says red on it has red tape in it, a bit like the government. And the one that doesn't say yellow on it has yellow tape in it. And you'll see when we do the CB radios, when Mark comes and he goes through the CB radios, he puts different colour stickers on as to whether the red ones, the set doesn't work, the amber one, well, it kind of works but it needs looking at, and the green ones which have been through the system. And these things gobble batteries. And this one we've put these Kodak, they have to be alkaline, we've put Kodak ones in, and do they work? Well, perhaps they work okay. Let's look at the next one. What batteries did we put in this one? They come from the pound shop, they've got Kodak. So I've obviously been busy going to the pound shop. So you get either 4 for £1 or 6 for £1 or 5 for £1 or something for £1, depending what they have on offer at the pound shop. Now these machines do not work with rechargeable batteries, which, as you know, are a lower voltage. We have a mains adapter, but it's not always convenient. So we're going to do a super test of AAA batteries. So this is our AAA super test, and this isn't going to be that scientific. Most of these came from the wholesalers, either RS or CPC, but some of the shop specific ones of course came from the shop. And we're going to find out two things. We're going to find out which is the best life battery which we know about on the UK market, and we're also going to do the kind of cost per amp hour type of thing, so the best value, because sometimes it doesn't matter how much a battery costs, it needs to be fit and forget, and it's got to have the maximum possible life. And on other things we might want the best possible value. We might want to do a walkie-talkie test. We're going to use the set for 20 minutes and then we're just going to shove the battery somewhere because it needs to be factory fresh every time. Now, as a kind of test, I went to Aldi or Lidl or whoever does Tronic, and we bought the rechargeable ones. I just want to do that as a test. We'll charge those up and we'll see what they really are. They say 1000 mAh on the package. What I found with RS Components, now going off on a tangent, one of the UK's leading wholesalers to the electrical and electronics trade, is that when they sell you batteries which say there's so many milliamp hour, they really are. So we don't know whether they're bull or not. So that's the only rechargeable one in this batch, and that's nothing to do with the test, but we're doing it at the same time. So I'm going to write these down. We're going to start with Duracell. So I know they come in, there's 50% from what? 50%, I don't know. But they're the only Duracells I've bought. So we're going to write down Duracell on the list. And we're going to test 4 at a time, because our battery analyzer needs 6 volts, to be honest. It would work at 4.8 with rechargeables. We'll come to that in a moment. So we're going to put those in there, we're going to discharge them, as simple as that. So we've got Duracell, we've got their ProCell. Now this is a Mallory product if I remember correctly, and this is their for professional use Duracell. So are they better or are they cheaper? I've no idea, we're going to find out. That's 2. Now you've seen me put the Kodak ones, it's a pack of 5 this time, and we know that they were 5 for £1, so that's 20 pence each. So we know that cost per unit was 20p. That's one I can write down without even having to look at the invoice. Oh, we know the Tronic ones. Did they come under that brand? They don't. the ones from Aldi is, I think it's the, right, one is Aldi and one is Lidl, and I'll have to consult Mr. Chippy as to which one's which. So the Aerosol, these are, there's a price difference here because they're $1.99 a pack. So if there's 10 in that one and 8 in that one, one's better value than the other possibly. So we'll put Active Energy, we'll put Aerosol. That's 2 more. Then Mr. Chippy told me I ought to get Energizer. Not that we ever use Energizer. Did they take over from Everready? I don't know. Philips. Write that one down. Maxell. Used to be tapes, didn't it, Maxell? And from RS Components themselves, they're alkaline. These are all the same kind of chemistry. They're all alkaline batteries because those printers use so much power that if you put ordinary batteries in, they'll print 1.5 labels and that'll be the end of it. So we'll put the RS ones down. Or it's RS Pro, isn't it? From CPC, I got these Pro Elec ones. And finally, I actually like the Gold Peak ones, a bit like LG. I like these, but a bit like LG, they don't call themselves Lucky Gold Star, and Gold Peak seem to have dropped the Gold Peak and just calls themselves GP. They've always got on well, especially with the rechargeable ones, which they do. You look well if one of my favourites turns out to be the worst. It's called GP Ultra. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's fantastic. Now then, I'm going to get my assistant to get the power lead out from the cupboard, which is a bit like a kettle lead, and we use it with a kettle. And I'm going to get him to plug that into the wall by going the far side so you don't have to see him. One, there we are, he's unplugged the toaster. And I'm going to fetch the Alexander Battery Optimizer. And we'll plug that in. Now, Alexander Battery Optimizer. Believe it or not, these were £1,100. And this is a 6-way one. They did a 1-way one, 3-way one, and a 6. And the idea is that you buy different pockets for your different hand portable radio battery requirements. We've got one for, I'll just move the camera around. I'll try and move the camera around. I'll probably press the wrong one. It's not the normal tripod. It's not the normal camera either. So we've got 6 pockets. I think we've got Maxon Apex 520, Maxon SL70, you know, and so on, because of the various 2-way radios we do commercially for servicing work here. So if I didn't have that on top of the pen, one of the things that they sold for a lot of extra money, because these pods were, I think, £30-something each. They did these universal ones for £60-odd each, and you can set the different voltage you're going to do. Now these machines are designed to be used with rechargeable batteries, and it's for nickel cadmium batteries. We have another one of these. It's a different model which does nickel metal hydride batteries or lithium and things like that. But this is a nickel metal. This is a rechargeable NiCad machine. But the discharge function will work on anything, and this will be set to something like 1 volt per cell, and it will cut out. It's going to apply something like 150 milliamps, and it's going to discharge these batteries, no doubt pretty pronto. So they're all going to be tested in the same way. That's the only scientific thing. So I've got two of these, which I got from RS. You can buy them with flying leads attached, but get that in camera. Battery boxes for 4A AAAs. We couldn't get them delivered till July because they're in short supply for whatever reason at the moment. So I'm going to connect that quite simply to the crocodile clip. So there's number one. And I will connect up number two. And I think we could only afford two of these multi ones at the time. I'm not surprised. These are going to go all over. They should have been screwed to a piece of wood or something, to be honest. Poor show. So we're going to switch on this machine. I'm going to change the camera angle, so we'll just pause the video. So I'm going to start off with the Duracell one. So we'll open the sealed pack. The reason I bought most of these from wholesale wasn't just for financial reasons, it was also because I wanted them to be absolutely as fresh as possible. So we've got the Duracell ones. I'm going to put them in the end battery box, at which point the display on the analyzer will say ready. I'm now going to press discharge, and it's showing 6.2 volts. Right, so that's Duracell done. So I'll tell you what, we will get the Pro Cell, which is supposed to be the Mallory Professional one, if I remember rightly, and we will get 4 of those out. So I'm not doing different samples of the same batteries. They get 4 batteries, and that's the chance they get. So my second display will now say ready, so I press discharge. Now they've started at, that's interesting, it started slightly lower. So you can now see on the right hand display, hopefully, that we've got 5 milliamp hours has now been removed from the battery, and it's still 6 volts. So you'll see these drop. On the Pro Cell, it's already at, well, it seems to be differing around. It said 5.6, 5.9. It doesn't seem to be as steady as the Duracell. So when this has done the discharge and it says ready, and it'll give me that reading, we'll put the camera back on and we'll swap over to another pair of battery types. So this is the Alexander Optimizer MZ6500, I seem to recall. I don't know whether, yes, I'll get my assistant, Mr. Sixpack, will just look at the model number on the back, and it will still not be on camera. Am I right? Is it MZ6500? Never mind, we'll come back to that. So there you go. We'll pause the video and we'll come back whenever these are flat. Flattery battery. I've just started off and I'm talking quietly because Mr. C is in bed and this room is next to his. And these are PowerX analyzers, which we have. Oh, they want dusting, don't they? We have 5 of them. And then I'm just going to move back to the kitchen and then we'll tell you what I've got planned. So I've been out. I haven't been out at all. I have ordered the current version of that type of analyzer, which is the PowerX something 9000. I think they're £69.99. I can't read it. Oh yeah, something MHC 9000 Pro or something. So it's the same thing, but they've changed slightly. It got a bit smaller, shrunk something somewhere down the line. So we'll just plug that in, it'll go and do its boot up sequence. So what we're going to do, and the reason I've suddenly changed mid-tack, is we decided that one of the Alexander charging plates wasn't aligned correctly. And so I couldn't trust either of them, and we can trust this because we've had those for a number of years. so we do know. And as a first test, I'm going to ask my assistant to get the 4 batteries which are charging, and we're going to start by doing those. Okay, so what we've got initially is we've got the Tronic Energy 950s. These are those pre-charged types. Now what we've done behind the scenes is we've discharged these and we've recharged them. So they're supposed to be 950 milliamps. We're going to set these tests up all the same, and I'm going to hopefully, if this works the same as the other one, and as long as I can see which way around these things go, looks like they go that way around. So what we want them to do is to discharge. So discharge we are doing. Enter. Set discharge rate. I want it to be 100 milliamps. I'm not trying to thrash them, I'm trying to be typical usage. And now it will hopefully start doing that. So it's already at 1.46. It's supposed to be 1.2 volts nominally, aren't they, AAA rechargeables? So we'll do the next one. So we will pop down to discharge, enter 100 milliamps. So if these were perfect, it'd be about 9.5 hours, wouldn't it? We've only got about 11 sets of batteries to do, haven't we? This video is going to take some doing. So yes, so, where are we? Slot, that one, and we want that to be in that mode. It's in charge mode. I didn't hit it quickly enough, so I'll do that one. And then we'll go back to that one and discharge, enter, down to 100 milliamps, enter. Now one time when Mark came, just make sure before I tell you that story, so we've got that slot is currently done that. Just making sure they're all in place. Yeah, so we'll come back to that in about 10 hours and we'll see how we're going. So I'm doing these rechargeable ones as a kind of reference point because they say on them what the current is supposed to be, and then we'll move on to the throwaway batteries. That's the plan anyway. So, oh, the light's now gone out. It's all dark and dismal. I couldn't use the ones which we have for this project because they're in constant use. So this is why I've had to go out and get another one. And I will just say that it came from Nevada, though nobody's sponsoring me to say that. So there you go. I'll see you in 10 hours. Okay, so if you can hear me over the background system, these are finished at, it's now 5 to 11 in the evening, and I thought I'd take advantage of taking these off. So these are the Tronic pre-charged ones which we discharged and recharged, and then we've read on here. So let's have a look at what we have got. So the first slot is 908 milliamp hour, so I'll write that down. The second slot is 878. The third slot is 907, and the fourth slot is 902. So I'll average that out, but it looks like it's about 900 out of 950, doesn't it? So that's our first test. So I'll make a note there. Tronic 950 milliamp hour. So that's not far off what they're supposed to be. Right, we'll get rid of those. And let's do the... I'll tell you what we'll do, because we're doing this overnight, we'll start with the Duracell. So that was the Duracell ones we'd chosen. If I could open it. So discharge only again. So discharge, enter. And that's good, it's remembered the parameters. Discharge, enter. Discharge. And finally, the fourth one.
Or visit actionfraud.police.uk. Right, so pen, paper, webcam set up. Kitchen doesn't look too messy. Perfect. Oh no, I've got.
And there we go. Slot 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's look at the voltage. 1.6. Right, we'll see what they say when it comes up done.